I walk in this place and I see a guy behind the cashier. So I go to the guy and I said, "Hey, I'd like chicken, please." And he's like, "Oh, and he points to this kiosk right next to him, like, just use that. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I looked right at him. I was like, "So why are you here?" And he said, honestly, he was like, "I don't know." So I don't think that guy deserves $16 an hour. He literally, the whole transaction was literally like this. "Why are you here? I don't know. Okay, I'll be right back." What's going on, everybody? I'm Jericho. This is Zap, and we are the now 6-time international award-winning pop hip-hop duo Band of Future. We make clean, fun music that everyone can listen to with a sound that's uniquely California, and you are right now in this moment tuned in to the Life Circus podcast, where we talk about everything that is funny, interesting, and just straight up ridiculous. So before we get started, do us a huge favor. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with at least 2 people. Making minimum wage, man. We talking about money, bruh.
Snaps.
So we live in California. I don't know if y'all are aware, but in 2024, January 1st, minimum wage goes up to $16. And that is apparently optional, meaning that places can pay more, some places even 20. And so I'm hearing a lot of debate over this. I mean, it's happening, so there's nothing we can do about it. But as far as, is it something that's good for us or something that's going to eventually take us down the inflation rabbit hole to sadness land? And so I was looking at some arguments, and I found some compelling ones for both sides. But I wanted to see first, so Zap, have you ever had a minimum wage job?
I've ever. I mean, I don't want to say everybody has, but
because I have not.
Most people. What? You haven't? Not even your first job ever?
My first job was refereeing at USC, and that was like $11, and I was killing it back then, man. I was like, I had my George Foreman grill. I was pimping, man. Like, it was cool.
I think minimum wage was like $8. I think when I was back as I can remember.
Sure. When I was in high school, minimum wage was $5.15.
Wow.
So, yeah,
that's so crazy to think about.
I know, right? So, that is the idea. But so I never worked minimum wage. But for you, having worked minimum wage,
yes, I haven't been as privileged as you have, apparently.
I mean, I'm fancy, man. But the question then is raising the minimum wage good for society, good for us? Because both sides are fighting back and forth, and it seems like they're pushing for the upping it with they're saying that it's supposed to help because it's going to give people, of course, more money, stimulate the economy, whatever. And then the other side says, well, the price is going to go up and it's going to be all the same. So you can see it either way. But my personal take on it is that you should pay people the value of the work that they put in. And so I had an interesting experience the other day, and I went to a place to get some chicken, as you do. And that's not the part. But anyway,
funny how it always comes back to this.
As it should.
We need a chicken sponsor for this.
They just opened a spot right next to my house to go talk to them. They're called Crimson Howard. I think
we need a chicken sponsor for this podcast.
We'll talk to them immediately. If you have a chicken, if you're related to a chicken representative, please give them our information, because we greatly appreciate it.
The blackest.
It's just good. So yeah.
Sponsored by Finger Licking Chicken.
It's not a thing yet, but my point was, I walk in this place and I see a guy behind the cashier. So I go to the guy and I said, "Hey, I'd like chicken, please." And he's like, "Oh, and he points to this kiosk right next to him, like, just use that." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I looked right at him. I was like, "So why are you here?" And he said, honestly, he was like, "I don't know." So I don't think that guy deserves $16 an hour. He literally, the whole transaction was literally like this. Why are you here? I don't know. Okay, I'll be right back. I go, I push, do. I get the chicken special deluxe bucket, whatever. And then I stand there and I talk to him for a couple minutes. And then he turns around, hands me my food and says, have a nice day. And that was the whole transaction. So a person like that, I don't think he deserves to get more money for doing that, right? Now, there are people who make any situation where there's like you need someone to be there to sell stuff or present or serve, they make it so worth the company's time that it'd be better to pay them more. Like, let's say I have a restaurant and I just have a waiter who's just killing the game, and because of that waiter, people keep coming back. That person deserves $30 an hour, $40 an hour. But the people that just stand there and go, number 5, whatever, and they look annoyed that you're there, I think they deserve to get less, but they still have to do the job because you're a teenager, and so we give all the crappy jobs to you, so accept it. But what do you think, or which side of the fence would you be on, would you say?
Yeah, I mean this is increasingly becoming a pet peeve of mine, I guess, to a certain degree, because the more I get, I guess, educated financially, and so I mean, there's so many different avenues. I'll just pick one for now. So the minimum wage is, I feel like people don't understand. If you've never run a business, it's like you don't understand where the money comes from. And so, like, and I agree, like, and it's not even really much for debate, as there's a reason why we have to keep raising the minimum wage, is because things keep getting more expensive, and it's just this constant, like, up and down battle. And so if you ever run a business, you understand that, like, most of the time your employees are your most expensive cost. It's not just like what you're paying them in a wage, but you have like all the taxes associated, the workman's comp. I hired my first employee like a couple of years ago, and this lady cost me so much money. It's like whatever you get paid, it's like you have to pay double, because you pay, and I have to go back and look at it again, but there's like an employer share of taxes, an employee share of taxes, and then it's like you have to pay both of those, and then you have to get workman's comp insurance for them, and then like all this stuff, and I'm like, yo, I'm not. It's either me or her, and it was her, like, real quick, bro. I'm so sorry, but
sorry, lady. I hope you're doing well.
Yo, people are expensive. So I said that to say, like, okay, if there's an increase in the minimum wage where you're a business, you have to have employees, and like you can't just get rid of employees like that. The only thing you can do, I mean, there's other things you can do to kind of make your business more efficient, but like the first step is just raising your prices.
Yeah.
So then it just becomes this cycle. I mean, you have more money going out to employees. You have to have more money coming in from somewhere.
Right.
So that gets passed down to the consumer. Now the consumer is like, oh, things are too expensive now. We need higher wages. Raise the minimum wage. And we're just going around in this circle. And I'm just like, not that I'm some major economist and I know the solution to all of this, but it's just like, every time I see someone like yelling about raising the minimum wage, I'm like, well, let me save more money because everything's about to get way more expensive.
Right. It's like gas used to be a nickel. It's like, shut up, grandma. So I think if I had to pick a side, I'd be on the side of not raising it, because what people don't see, I have some younger people that I interact with. I think they're called teenagers. And you talk to them, they're like, yeah, of course we want more money, duh. But what they don't get is that, okay, for one, if I'm an employer and I have to pay somebody more, I'm not going to pick someone that's never worked before. Like, I'm going to get someone good. So I'm immediately going to rule out all the people that don't have experience, right? And then if I have to pay you more, I'm going to find other ways to cut corners. So I might cut benefits. So you still have to pay regardless.
Cut benefits,
right?
Cut hours,
something.
Yeah, cut the number of people that you have. Yeah,
it's just a lot of. It's just like you mentioned, a big slippery slope. So there is no solution, but you can see where it's trending. It's trending toward, like, I have heard that in some places they will be paying $20 an hour for minimum wage, and that's for working fast food. And not knocking fast food. I know it's difficult as far as it's like tedious and long hours and standing on your feet and customers and all that kind of stuff. But $20 an hour, that's a substantial amount of money for anybody to be making. So I hope that something changes. But the good news is, and it's ironic, I'll be talking about this in another podcast episode about other jobs that you could be going for instead that wouldn't be on that minimum wage. Because if you're on that floor, like, you're getting pushed along, like those stages in Mario where you kind of have to keep going. It's just like kind of like part of the thing, but you're still always going to be at the bottom. Don't think that it's weird. Just don't think that's because you're going up, you're getting any higher. No, you're just the bottom, just getting up. You're still on the bottom, and that's the place you don't want to stay for too long. But we'll see. So it kicks, and I'm not sure about the laws in other states, but I know in California, January 1st, it's going to be $16. So it might be a good time to get. I still think that a lot of teenagers just still don't want to work. Actually, they still don't. They'd rather not work than work for more money.
Not just teenagers, just people in general. Ever since 2020, it's been a shortage of workers. Yeah. That's been a big story too. But before we end, it's interesting that you touched on the fast food workers, because that's what I'm going to talk about in the next podcast.
What? I'm like clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Or Claire Danes. Remember her?
Or maybe we both just read the news.
That could also be it. But anyway, leave a comment. This has been another episode of the Life Circus podcast. Yeah, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. What side of the fence are you on as far as this? It's somewhat of a debate, this minimum wage thing. What's happening? What's the minimum wage in your state? Do they pay you in nickels? Where you from? Let us know in the comment. I don't know where you're from. I want to know. I want more information about the world. Maybe I'm.
That city boy said they pay us in nickels.
They might. And I hope that regardless of what happens, that you at least have a job, because, if they, as I would say, do something so you lack employment, that'd be an unfortunate situation for you.
Yep, that would be unfortunate.
So what I'm saying is, make sure to do anything you can so that they don't. What is it? I can't remember the phrase.
Don't take your job. Don't let them take it. Don't let them take your minimum wage, Big Macs and fries.
They took our jobs.